Good evening, YouTube. You read the title, so let's talk about this. So let's start with the compound bows. How often should you actually change your string and cables on a compound? Well, every manufacturer has a different list of how often you should do this. Wicked Ridge, for example, on this one, they say every 1,000 shots or every 1 to 2 years. I'm thinking, well, that's going to cost a couple $100 a pop. And it's like, I'm not made out of freaking money. Now, I'm going to tell you my theory on that one. If your serving string where your arrow knocks up, or bolt in this case, is still in good shape and you're not seeing any of this, okay? Keep shooting the damn thing, okay? Don't worry about it. For me, I can put 1,000 rounds easy in 2 weeks through a bow. Even less, probably. Depends on how energetic and how motivated I am to shoot, right? So I'm kind of thinking, well, in that case, I'd be changing my string and cables at least every, say, 2 weeks. And it's like, not happening. Anyways, but when we practice with our tools to go hunting, it takes a lot of practice to get really good, whether it's with a crossbow or a regular bow, okay? And it's like, yeah, no. So as long as your serving string area is good, don't worry about changing it no matter how many shots you've got through it, okay? It's going to be fine, all right? Now, brand new cables and strings will stretch. So initially when all this stuff is brand new, okay, you're going to only get so many shots out of this sucker, and you're going to have to get the timing recalibrated on the pulleys. And you just take it to your bow shop, and usually they do it for free for you, especially if you just bought the thing, okay? They're pretty good about doing that, depending on the bow shop you do it with, obviously, okay? And then your cams are reset, timing's fine again, and now your arrows will hit the target again, so you don't have to dick with your scope or your sights, okay? I'm not going to get into the history of this bow in this video. I want to try and keep this video short. So as long as this area is good, leave it. It's fine, okay? If the serving string starts to wear bad, I would suggest taking the bow into your archery shop, and if the guy knows what he's doing, he should be able to remove this serving string and redo it, and it will be very inexpensive for you, because there's not going to be a damn thing wrong with your cables or your string otherwise, okay? So as long as you haven't done any, damage into this area, you're fine, okay? Just get the serving string redone. Shouldn't cost you more than whatever the guy's going to charge you, which is not very expensive, and it's going to be way freaking cheaper than replacing everything, okay? And I'm one of these people, I'm a bit of an enthusiast when it comes to shooting. I put a lot of arrows or bolts through my bows every season, okay? So every spring and summer, I practice, right? Because I want to keep my skills up, and I want to make sure that when I do get to take that shot at an animal, I will not miss. Regardless of what range I'm going to be hunting at, I'm not going to miss. Because, a miss can cost you the animal. Wounding an animal, well, the animal could get away so far that you're never going to find it again. Now you've got an animal that finally may die eventually. You're never going to find it. That's not ethical hunting. Ethical hunting is one shot and it's dead. Okay, so you need to practice with your tools, okay? Not keep fixing the damn things all the time. So when we get into waxing, now this is going to be for both, okay, for waxing. Actually, you know what? Let's skip that. Let's talk about the compound, and then we'll get into waxing because it's going to be the same for both. So with a compound, okay, I've got over 2,000, going toward that 3,000 mark of arrows I've shot through this compound. Okay, now I got this about 2 years ago now, and I fire off a couple thousand rounds a year. And I went through in my first season with this bow when I first got it. It was about, I think I had about 5 months or something before hunting season had opened up. Now I'm hunting deer. Now, of course, my first time in my life ever hunting, I'm in my 50s. I didn't get a deer that year. I was a little disappointed. But this past season, of 2025, I got my first deer. Mind you, I got it with a crossbow and not this. I was a little disappointed, but hey, at least I got my deer. Anyhow, it's just the deer wouldn't let me get the friggin' bow up, but the crossbow was easier. Anyway, so I'm pretty sure I'm way past where I should be, but yet my timing is still fine. I got the bow brand new. The timing had to be reset once within the first, I think it was a week. And then after that, it was fine because the cables and string are going to stretch. It's going to whack your timing out. So we did a complete setup on it when I got it from the shop. And then, of course, about a week or so later, I'm having issues. The damn thing's shooting all over the place. Turned out my cams went out of timing because the strings and cables went and stretched, right? So he reset it for me, no charge. It was great. And then it's been fine ever since. I've never had an issue with accuracy. You know, I leave it sit all winter, okay? And then I go out in the spring. I shot again this past spring of 2025 before hunting season. I put a ton of arrows through that bow, okay? Now, even though I didn't actually get to take my deer with my bow, okay, the point is, I still put a ton of arrows through it. I'm way past where I probably should be for what Matthews recommends for how many arrows. But the serving string is doing fine. It's all good in here. Everything's fine. The cables are fine. The string is good. But why is it still all good? Well, you're not going to get as much wear and tear on a bow serving as you do on a crossbow serving. These take a harder punishment to them for some reason. I don't know why, but they seem to. But I guess that depends upon the type of knock, because these are locking knocks that I have on this bolt, and the knocks on these are not. So these might actually give me better longevity out of my serving string. So it varies, I guess. Depends on the knocks. But anyway, but I haven't had to have any more maintenance done on this thing. I set it to the draw weight that I wanted at, which is 56 pounds, which is more than enough to legally kill deer and bear, okay? I think I can take a moose with that as well at that weight ratio. I have to check. Regulations are different in every province, okay? But it's the same deal. I've owned bows that have had strings on them for like since the dawn of time, and I got the bow checked out when I got my my Martin Magnum Phantom bow. It's on my channel. I got that from a friend. He had it in storage for years, and it was the original string, okay? And it didn't have any cam issues either. He had already gone through the stretching process and that when he got the bow, and it stayed ever since. And he never had to replace the string. He always kept things maintained on it, and that's the main thing. And the maintenance part is pretty simple. It's about waxing your string, okay? And you only need to wax the exposed string and cable areas, okay? Now these cables on these more modern bows, okay, both, they're actually the same material as what your main string is, okay? Old school stuff, it was like a plastic coated steel cable system, but then you'd have a normal string. Well, everything's all the same material nowadays, which is great for long term down the road. 20 years later, I can still get strings and cables done. No big deal. So, but you have to keep waxing these strings. Very important. So you take your bow out, you lubricate, you know, to protect with the wax, okay? And you got to really rub it in good. You got to pinch your fingers hard and really rub and rotate that wax into that string so that it gets embedded. And you do the same thing with all the exposed areas, both bow types. You do that before you shoot. You do it again after you're done shooting. Even if things are still sticky, don't worry about it. Just put a coat of wax on it because you're going to store it now. Now, here's the thing about storage. Storing a bow in a case keeps contaminants out, keeps other things out, especially if you have animals in the house. And, you know, you're going to lubricate this with your bow wax. You don't have to do the rail wax or the rail lube. You only need to do that when you're shooting. But when you're going to put it in storage for any length of time, you do need to wax that string. Do your rail lube next time you take it out. Anyway, so my habit is simply, this is in storage in a case because I have nowhere to hang it on the wall right now. So it's in the case. I've waxed it up when I put it away after this past deer season, and it stayed in the case. Now it's still tacky, still good. I'm gonna throw this back in the case after the video's done, and I'm good until the spring. When spring hits, this is still probably gonna be tacky, but I'm not gonna shoot it until I've actually redone the wax on it, because wax gets aged even as it sits, and the chemicals within the wax that keep this stuff, you know, nice and sticky and keep protecting your string, well, that stuff can dry out a bit, right? So I'm going to redo that before I take it shooting. And then when I'm done shooting, I know it's only going to be in the case for probably a couple more days or a week, doesn't matter. You know, I'm still going to re-wax it again. You can't really over-wax a string, literally, okay? But you don't want cake shit all over the place. You want to really rub it in. Okay, you don't want to see the wax. You want to rub it in there really good with your fingers. So pinch hard, twist and rotate as you go, okay? Same as deal with this one. This one does not have a storage case, so it's left out in the open for the elements in the house. We don't have animals, which is fine. Don't have kids in the house anymore. So, but I noticed that this gets a little dry here and on here. This is still a little tacky. This pretty good, and my cables are very tacky, which is fine. But after this video, of course, before I put this bow back on the wall, I'm redoing everything, because if I'm going to go through the trouble to do these two, I'm going to do the rest of it. And then once the springtime hits and I take my bow out again for the first time for spring season, I'm going to re-wax them. Okay? You cannot really overdo this. This is going to help the longevity of my string. So my string, my cables, they last for years and thousands of rounds. So I don't suggest, unless you're that kind of an anal person, I don't suggest you pay attention to the whole, you should change it every 1 or 2 years or every 3 years or every X amount of shots. Hey, come on, we're going on 3,000 rounds out of this. And I still haven't changed the string or cables, and I don't need to. I also get my archery shop to check it out every year before I even shoot it, because I'd rather him check it to make sure it's all good before we're ready to go, especially in case it might stretch any further. I want to know, because if it does, it's going to throw the cams out, which means my shots are going over there, up there, and who the hell knows where. Okay, same thing, I'll have my compound crossbow checked out as well. Now, as far as regular traditional bows go, it's going to be the same waxing process. You know, traditional crossbow, okay, so no wheels, okay, traditional one leaf. You got to lube those strings, okay, you really do. But see, with a traditional bow style limb setup, whether it's crossbow or regular bow that's traditional bow, you don't have to worry about anything falling out of timing. You do have to worry about string stretching, okay, but it's only going to stretch so far, and that's usually it. But if you do notice, this is why you check your brace heights, and your brace height is going to tell you. Okay, so if your string is stretching, your brace height is going to get shorter. You need to make sure your brace heights are set to where they're supposed to be according to the factory. Okay, and as long as that stays and it stays solid, then you know your brace height's good, and then you know everything else is going to be fine too, right? And you're also going to have everything working the way it should. So that's my advice. Okay, now if you want to argue that, go right ahead. I mean, I've been shooting bow and arrow my whole life, even though for many years I did shoot the wrong way. But now I shoot proper and I shoot deadly, you know, and I don't miss my target for where I'm aiming at. All right, and I still need to practice every year, because even every year I pull this thing out, that's manually pulling back every time, and I know I need to practice that, and I know I need to spend a lot of time on it before the next hunting season, and I will practice and practice and practice, even if it's just twice a week, every week. I'm going to do it to get my skills back up. This thing, I'll probably rifle through a few hundred rounds, you know, over the elapsed time of spring to the next hunting season, to make sure that everything's staying good on this and staying solid and accurate, and my, you know, I don't have to worry about cam timing, and if the timing does fall out, I'll know, because my arrows aren't going to shoot the same, right? So, and you're going to have to find the right weight of arrow for grain weight and spine, as well as, you know, everything else that you're going to need for your bows. And that takes a lot of practice and work to figure that out too. But anyway, that's what I got for you. So if you got any comments, put them down below. If you got any questions, same thing, comments down below. Ask your questions. I'll give you the best I can. I am not a bow expert, okay, but I do know an awful lot because I study this stuff constantly from channels that I actually trust on YouTube, but also even the ones that are kind of leery, I look at their videos anyways just to see. But I also have a lot of hands-on experience, okay? And that means everything when you have the hands-on experience and you have the time in. I have messed with so many different arrow lengths and grain weights of arrows and everything else. I kind of got a really damn good beat on things and what's working and what's really not working so great, you know. And I can tell you a lot about sights too, you know, on compound bows. I would recommend either the Spot Hog, one of the versions, or a similar brand out there that you have yard by yard. I also recommend a rangefinder that compensates for angles, because a lot of you guys are tree hunters or you're blind hunters up in a tree, up high. You've got to have that angle so that you know where to dial that bow for at that precise yardage, okay? And that's a big thing. Your aiming is completely different on this than it is on more of a horizontal plane. And even at that, I may have a 15-yard setup from a straight horizontal plane, but my sight in is technically 14, okay? So, and that gets me my kill zone shot at the majority of the deer I'm going to run across, okay? And if I run across something that's taller than what I know I've sighted for, I can at least easily compensate for that, okay? And I know how to compensate for that, right? And it's a skill that you learn, and this is why you practice too at stepping further back or stepping closer in to where you're sighted for to see where your arrows land, and then you'll know what situations are going to develop for you, okay? And if you're shooting longer than, you know, 15, 20, 25, 30 yards, you'll know what to expect as well. You've got to practice with your gear at all those possible ranges that are also still good ranges with archery equipment to be able to get that kill zone shot and to be able to take down your deer. Now, if all you are is a sports shooter, then that's fine too. Do your thing. We are all different. I'm a target shooter. I'm also someone who hunts, so I do both. So that's kind of where I'm at with this sort of a thing. And I rather enjoy it. I think it's fantastic. So anyway, that's what I got for you. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll be sure to catch you on the next one. See ya.